Do you get a little freaked out about your health? Maybe a lot freaked out? Do you sometimes feel helpless? Well, there is a better way. If you are concerned about diabetes or prediabetes, obesity, Alzheimer's or other brain diseases, chronic inflammation that causes arthritis or other ongoing pain, cholesterol issues, autoimmune disorders, high blood pressure, insomnia or sleep apnea, depression or anxiety issues, headaches including migraines, chronic fatigue or frequent energy dips, binge eating or chronic hunger or other issues. There is something you can do to prevent, improve, or even reverse your issues. Hi, this is Patrick, and I want to tell you a little about me, a little about what I can do for you, and to let you know why I am your best choice if you're ready to take control of your health or your weight now. First, a little background. I was a chubby kid who grew up to be a chubby, then obese adult. Over the years, I tried many diets with pretty much the same results each time. Willpower and enthusiasm carried me through a month or two, and I lost a few pounds. Eventually, the pounds stopped coming off, and my enthusiasm and willpower faded. Basically, I got too hungry to stand it, wasn't getting any results, so I quit. Then the weight slowly came back, plus a bit more. Does this sound familiar? If you've had a similar experience in trying to manage your health issues or weight through diet, the big thing I want you to know is it's not your fault. It wasn't you that failed, it was the advice you got that failed. Once you understand what is really going on, this will all become clear. I also tried exercise for about 10 years. I spent 5 years running and managed to cripple my knees. I switched to bodybuilding for another 5 years until it clearly had reached a point of diminishing returns. This too was taking a toll on my body without much benefit. All told, I lost about 25 of the 50 pounds I originally wanted to lose, and that all came in the first few months of running. Bodybuilding added some muscle, and I looked better, but through it all, I never lost my love handles and that last 25 pounds of fat around the middle of my body. During that time, I read a lot about health and fitness. I even got certified as a personal trainer, and even with all that knowledge, I didn't have an answer to those love handles. I never worked as a personal trainer because if I couldn't lose the fat I wanted to lose, how could I help someone else who might have the same problem? Now, I have the answers, and I want to share them with you. Despite all that knowledge and that exercise history, at the beginning of 2015, I weighed 316 pounds, had a growing list of health issues, and felt certain diabetes was in my future. Then, my life changed completely for the better when I began to realize and accept that almost everything I thought I knew about health, diet, and fitness was wrong. Your life can change too. Sometimes you have to accept that what you believe to be true isn't, but then you become open to letting new information in. I'll finish my story later. For now, I want to explore your options for getting healthy. You do have options when seeking help with your health issues. While it might not be anyone's first choice, you might check out the official government policy on healthy eating. You could go to a doctor and see what advice could be found there. You might seek out a dietitian, nutritionist, or another health coach. You might seek the guidance of one of the big diet companies. But before you decide, I want to share what I know that you might not know. In 1977, the government first got into the business of diet advice. Then, in 1980, the United States Department of Agriculture published the very first dietary guidelines for Americans. These get updated every 5 years, but very little has changed. The first diet advice was to eat a low-fat diet, and the latest version advises one of three diets that are all low-fat diets. We were all led to believe that all we had to do was cut the fat and everything would be great. And we did. Between 1980 and 2000, we cut our fat consumption by 25%. And yet somehow a lot of us got fat and sick. Obesity rates that were at 14% in 1980 are now well over 40%. Diabetes affected about 2% of the population in 1980, and now more than 12% of adults are diabetic, with avoidable and reversible type 2 diabetes making up the vast majority. That's 6 times what it was in less than 40 years. In the same time frame, autoimmune disorders, sleep disorders, depression, and a host of other issues have risen dramatically, and Alzheimer's, which was just being recognized and defined in the late 70s, has skyrocketed. There are actually two common denominators in these and many other health issues. Excess inflammation and or elevated insulin levels are important contributing factors in our most pressing health issues. Excess inflammation and elevated insulin are dietary problems with dietary solutions, and I can show you these solutions. The guidelines provide nothing to address these issues. If the low fat diet advice had any chance of helping you or anyone get healthier long term, I could easily teach it to you. I've studied it more than enough. It doesn't work, and I won't teach it. You might go to your doctor for some guidance. Now, I don't want to bash doctors, they certainly do a lot of great things. And you will get a plan for working with your doctor to help you take control of your health. The issue is you need to know the limitations of doctors. The obvious critical thinking question is if doctors have the answers, why are there fat doctors? First of all, the role of the primary care doctor has become one of diagnose and prescribe. You wait your 45 minutes to get your 5 or 10 minutes with the doctor. You get your label and your note, your diagnosis and your prescription. And the kicker is the prescription for chronic health issues like type 2 diabetes, autoimmune disorders, and so on is that the drugs don't ever make you well. They just treat your symptoms in most situations. I will show you that wellness is an option. Now, if you do get any diet advice from your doctor, it's usually some faded copy of a food list that they've been handing out for years, and it's never helped anyone. It turns out that someone really doesn't have to study nutrition in depth to become a doctor. They hear what we hear, they think what we think, and what they do learn is going to be based on those USDA guidelines. It also turns out that most doctors have some negative bias towards obese patients. You don't have to take my word for that though. There have been multiple studies that show this. From UConn Today on 10/22/14, based on a UConn study on obesity bias among doctors, research scientist Rebecca Poole said, weight bias jeopardizes patients' emotional and physical health, and that some patients may even avoid future health care because of the bias in health care. Weight bias can show up in many ways. Doctors may use derogatory language, blame health problems on weight, and even deny certain medical procedures because of weight. In another article based on another study reported in Live Science 11/7/12, study researcher Janet Sabin said, the most striking thing is that physicians are like others in society and hold negative attitudes about weight. From Clinician Today on 2/20/17, physicians are simply terrible at working with overweight patients. Studies find they don't diagnose patients with obesity, don't understand the medical repercussions of obesity on health, attribute their patients' weight to a lack of discipline, and feel their patients lack the motivation to lose weight. A segment on Good Morning America from 8/4/17 discussing the same UConn study reported that doctors tend to blame all problems a patient might have on obesity, often overlooking other problems. They went on to report that many doctors consider obese people to be bad, lazy, stupid, or worthless. So unlike doctors, I understand you. I've been where you are. I know what it's like to be worried about your health and feeling powerless to change it. You can change it, and I will show you how. You could hire a dietitian or a nutritionist, but you have to realize that the training they get in any college or university is going to be based on those same pesky USDA guidelines. They can only teach you what they have been taught, and what they have been taught is what has not been working for 40 years. Other health coaches are an option, but you might run into the same problem. Most health coaches become coaches by taking some course that they will rely on. They will know whatever is taught by the particular program they select. From what I can tell, these programs are mostly more of the same. These programs are usually something someone can learn in 6 to 12 months or less while studying part-time. This is where I differ in a big way. I didn't learn what I know to become a coach. I learned it to help me. It was an intense full-time effort for the first few months and an ongoing effort for over 4 years now. I started this just so I could lose some weight, and then I learned so much more, and that needs to be shared. I've read dozens of books, watched hundreds of hours of speakers, researchers, doctors, and other experts on the internet to discover what works, what doesn't, and why. You might think a big diet company would have the answers, but unfortunately, their track record is not too good either. Less than 5% lose weight and keep it off for as much as 3 years. I want you to be healthy for the rest of your life and for that to be a long, long time. Most of the big diet companies have plans based on the low fat guidelines again. Their one big skill is convincing you that the diet works. That way, when it doesn't work, you blame yourself and you sign up again next year. One thing that makes me different from them is I will tell you the truth. I'm not going to say you can eat bread every day if you're a type 2 diabetic, no matter how much you want to hear it. Don't worry though, you may not be able to have bread, but I'll show you how to eat so you never feel deprived, you eliminate cravings for unhealthy carbs, and you never have to count calories or go hungry. So what makes me a better option? I will always tell you the truth about what you can expect to change and what you have to do to get there. I understand your issues because many of your issues were my issues. I am self-taught without any outside bias or influence. I read dozens of books, done hundreds of hours of online research, and I've been living this way since March of 2015. My ultimate goal is to teach you to be your own expert on nutrition for you so you can be empowered to take control of your health and weight now and for the rest of your life. Before I finish my story, I just want to mention genetics and your health. The field of epigenetics tells us that our genetics are not our destiny. Just because you are genetically vulnerable to some problem, there still must be something in your environment to trigger the problem. For example, you may have a long family history of type 2 diabetes, but if you never eat a lot of junk carbs like sugar, flour, and starches, there's no way you're going to get diabetes. Since we started eating less fat, diabetes rates went up sixfold, and they're projected to top 30% within 20 years. This isn't because our genetics changed, it's because our diets changed. Now I want to finish my story and let you know what you can expect from the plan. So back to early 2015, I surrendered to the reality that I didn't know what to do about my weight. Then, through what I could only call serendipity, new information showed up. It suggested that what I thought I knew was wrong and it pointed me in a new direction. So I opened my mind to new possibilities and started studying low-carb diets and how to make these work long-term. After about 2 weeks of intensive research of about 10 hours a day, my wife and I designed a low-carb diet plan. Our research continued for the next few months as we fine-tuned the plan and sought out how to make it healthier. There was no plan we could find that covered everything we felt needed to be included, so I designed our own. This plan is what I teach you because it's based purely on sound science and it works to create wellness. In 8 months, I lost 85 pounds. By a year, it was a little over 100. My wife Sandy lost 40 pounds in 4 months, and we have maintained that easily. Better yet, a lot of health issues started to vanish. Within a couple months, my sleep apnea was gone. I just stopped snoring. My mood improved within a month as I felt a calm that was new to me. At the time, I didn't know how bad I felt until I started feeling better. This sense of well-being became my everyday experience. My thinking cleared as well. There was more clarity and a better ability to focus. My blood sugar went back to a lower normal range. My blood pressure went down, allowing me to get off a prescription. My energy levels improved dramatically, and my near constant hunger disappeared as I began giving my body what it wanted. And the best part, even better than a weight loss, was that my insomnia went away within 6 weeks. As someone who had trouble falling asleep for years, often tossing and turning for hours and feeling tired all the time, I started to fall asleep quickly and easily. To this day, over 4 years later, I am asleep within minutes of laying down, every night. This may not seem like a big deal if you've never had insomnia, but for those who have had insomnia, you know this is a very big deal. Now, there is nothing really special about me that allowed me to do this. I'm just a curious guy that wanted answers. The information I used already exists. I just explored it deeply, collected it, discovered what worked, and wrote it all down. Then I lived it, and it is amazing. If you want to learn what I know, call me or email me. You can do what I've done and a whole lot more. I will come to you and talk about what you can get from this. Your first session is free, so you have nothing to lose by checking it out. I will give you an honest assessment of what you can change and see if I have a plan that works for you. It's that simple. I look forward to helping you. Thank you.